Hello everyone, finally got to work on that video I mentioned I would be making, talking about some things that led to me getting back to my channel. As you can see, this is my YouTube studio page on my phone. It's an app, and this is pretty much just to prove that it is indeed me, because nobody else could be on my account in YouTube Studio, right? So of course that makes sense, right? First thing I want to talk about is a little thing with these two videos here. I'll probably mark them in post because I can't show you where I'm pointing. But SMAA 2 and SMAA 2.5. Now, two things you might notice. Firstly, if you saw the first upload I did of them, you'll notice that the thumbnails are different, as well as the view counts and the placement of them in order from when I uploaded them. That is because number 2 had a copyright strike filed by my dad. I'm going to pretty thoroughly explain why that's complete and utter bullshit. There's a big problem with the copyright strike that he sent me, and I'm going to explain to you as thoroughly as I can what that problem is. I have two folders here. One is expose, as you can see, and the other is annoyance. Annoyance is the first folder we're going to be looking through, because it's the less important to me, but still potentially important, and also kind of funny in a while this person is weird way. But to start out, as you can see here, this is a screenshot of the video, the first video that I uploaded to this channel, but this is the version that is on what is now currently my dad's channel. It was originally on my channel. It is now also on what is now my dad's channel. As you can see, SpongeBob makes an announcement. That is the name of the video. That was pretty much copy-pasted from the original. SMAA is my series. This was uploaded 2 years after the original, which I can show you right now, in case you weren't going to look anyway. This was from 3 years ago, and at this moment in time, it is Thursday, December 28th, 2023. And that version, right there, which is basically the same thing, just on a different channel, was released 2 years afterwards. You can mention in the description, which I wrote, because at the time it was me and my dad's channel, a relic from my old channel that I lost. I couldn't bear to leave it there, so here it is. And then there is now a sequel to it as well, thanks for 54,000 views on the original. The first link there is the sequel, of course. And then the second one is the one on my channel, the one I just showed you a minute ago with the 55,000 views, which there it says 54 because at the time that's what the number was. And that was about a year ago now. To anyone who reads this, please tell anyone who asks that I am the original creator. Again, this is me writing it, because I am, and I simply lost that other channel because I did. That other channel being the one that you're currently watching. Which, just for context, because I'm sure somebody's going to wonder how I got back onto this if I just completely forgot the password and couldn't get on before that point. I had lost the password to my entire email linked to the YouTube account. At some point, my dad found the password for it and gave it back to me. Sure, that seems like a generous thing. Somebody being generous does not mean they can't be abusive, and we're going to get into that later. Now, the second video, as in the sequel to the first one, which was at first only uploaded to my dad's channel, because, again, I did not have access to this channel. So, SMAA2. If you remember the acronym from last time, same acronym, same title in, well, technically same title because it's the acronym. SpongeBob's Revenge. The first line in this description is the sequel to SpongeBob Makes an Announcement, sort of. And of course I said sort of because it's completely different. SpongeBob Makes an Announcement 1 was a photoshopped image of SpongeBob in front of the background that Eggman is on in Sonic Adventure 2, when he is, in the middle of giving a speech and then he blows up the moon. and such, with AI generated voices over it, and some small sound effects, which I do like doing. Is my main thing is sound shitposts, of course, which you would know if you've been on this channel watching it a lot. Which there aren't a lot of you doing that, but that's fine. I just do it for my own sake. Well, sake, whatever. Of course, part 1 links directly to the original version, but on my dad's channel. Because, of course, there would be no reason to link it back to my old channel when I can't access it. Hopefully you enjoy this. I enjoyed making it, though it was a bit strenuous, since this is the first video I've done in this style. Check my channel, it'll make more sense. Of course, if you see my channel, most of my videos up until, well, when I lost the channel, was basically, again, still frame images with either audio edits or AI voices, or a mix of both. Mostly the audio edits, and honestly, I'm still a little bit proud of most of it. And then there was one video, specifically, that I did in Windows Movie Maker, which, I don't remember how I got Windows Movie Maker to work at the time. I think I was just using an old laptop that, like, barely functioned anyway. Which is why I had to use screenshots for it, because, Gmod didn't run very well on it if I was trying to record it at the same time. So that's always fun. Took a week's work, though during that week I worked a few hours each, or less each day. Stupid typo. Meant worked for a few hours, or less each day, of course. And I also got sick on Monday, so it wasn't really a week's worth, more like a full day's at most. Then 2.5, which, again, another installment in the SpongeBob Makes an Announcement series. And mind you, I feel with 100% certainty that maybe my dad could make 2.5, because 2.5 wasn't as complex. But the first one, no. He would give up after the gas grenades, like, make the program lag. Because that did happen. Eventually I just ended up copy-pasting a bunch of the same effect, and then skipping past that, so that it would stop lagging, and I could actually continue on with the video. Anyways, in the version on the channel you're on here, right now, I cut off the outro right as it says "Video by the Game Morgue," because that's the name of the channel. This screenshot is from the credits, which, at this point here, is right after where I cut it off. As you can see right below there, it says edited by James of the Game Morgue. James being my name. I did have some other evidence. Yes, right. Now, this here says James of the Game Morgue, right? AKA True Demonoid. Some of you might remember that the channel used to be called True Demonoid. I changed the name recently, partly to kind of, I don't know, rebrand, I guess. Be a bit more me. Because, I mean, you know, at the time, yeah, I was a little bit of an edgy kid. Sometimes, I mean, whenever I got, like, upset, I'd be really unnecessarily edgy. Hence, True Demonoid. Had nothing to do with anything else, just that. Right. What I have to do then, even though I'd like not to. And of course he's still trying. I'm getting genuinely sick of him trying over and over to get any sort of attraction to him. But anyway, we go down to the bottom here, and then we go back here. And I'm actually already saved on this point here. As you can see, SpongeBob Makes an Announcement .mp4. 54,000 views by True Demonoid. So, if that doesn't prove to you that it is mine, I don't know what will. Anyway, continuing on to the less serious, more funny, stupid, dumb shit stuff. So, first things first. Well, as in second section, first thing of the second section. First, this will be the section where I talk about the tweets that I saw that my dad made on what was supposed to be our YouTube channel's Twitter account. There we go. Good job, man. You're definitely saying your sentences correctly. Anyhow, so I have most of what I wanted to say written out already. But anyhow, insulting somebody for a pose. Immediately very childish. I'm not going to say that I don't do that. Maybe I'd laugh a little bit. But I wouldn't be calling them a fucking T-Rex. I would just be saying it's funny. For no particular reason. And the fact that it's a gay person, according to the quote, which I don't have the full context to some kind of wrestling sport, as far as I can tell. But yeah, going out of his way to insult a gay person, that just doesn't feel right to me. I don't know if it's just because he happened upon it and it was like, oh, T-Rex, ooh. It probably was. So I'm not going to say that he's homophobic. I have no reason to believe that he is even. He was fine when I came out as bisexual. But honestly, there's enough other reasons to not like him, which you will see. And as you can see, as I mentioned here, he's referencing a meme that was like a decade old. And if you don't know what the meme was, if you've heard of Nostalgia Critic, about like a decade or so ago, he was talking about the Jurassic Park movies, something or other, and then anytime the T-Rex would be on screen, he would have a little song. I don't know if it was a reference to a song or just a original thing with guitars in the background and constantly repeating, "I'm on the fucking T-Rex," which wasn't really that funny to me. I mean, it probably wasn't meant to be funny. It was more meant to accentuate how awesome a giant fucking T-Rex is. But still, using that and then adding them as if they would want to read that is just funny to me. And by the way, I don't think they saw it. I could only assume. Or if they did see it, they didn't care to comment, repost, or like it. So I imagine they didn't care for it. Next thing, he says, "We are pretty new to Twitter. Any advice and tips on building our reach and presence here?" Meanwhile, I didn't even know that he made this account at all for a good long while, and I certainly didn't have any input on anything he said on it. Especially not in his replies. And this is all, of course, ignoring the fact that the best way to get better reach on Twitter is to buy the fucking blue check mark, and nobody's going to do that if they're a sane person. So, yeah, fun. Oh, and if you couldn't tell, this is me in post. I'm kind of covering up stupid stuff I said that didn't really have anything to do with anything. Oh, shit. This felt like something where you would see a mobile app, it would tell you to share your progress, and then you would copy the message into Facebook, and you'd send it, and it'd be this. I did actually check what the link was, though, and apparently it was more like a dice collection giveaway for, like, tabletop RPGs or something. Something to that effect. Which, I don't mind, but I don't know what he did it for, and something tells me it was, I don't know. I'm sure it wasn't for nefarious purposes, but it really, I don't know, feels very boomery, and if not boomery, very sellouty. But I don't know. Next thing, Jacksepticeye says, "At the start of July, it was the heaviest I've ever weighed in my entire life. Since then, I've lost 8 kilograms, 17.6 pounds. Feeling good, baby." And then immediately my dad's reply is, "Fat Septiceye." This is the kind of thing he would do a lot, is, make puns on people's names. And honestly, it was incredibly annoying. Just like a lot of his other jokes were incredibly annoying. I'll talk more about those later, when they come up. Also, now that I've had time to think on it, I don't think this was fat shaming necessarily, but it was a dick move to say a pun related to the word fat and the person's name. when they're talking about how they've had weight loss. It's just fucking rude. And especially hypocritical when he is also fat. And this was a female YouTuber that we watched occasionally. If I remember correctly, I will say she, unless they're like trans or something. But I'm fairly certain they're she. So, she would like talk about, what was it? Murder She Wrote episodes a lot. And they were entertaining videos, I liked them. I should find this channel again and subscribe to it on this channel. Maybe I'll leave a link in the description. Perhaps, I don't know. Not important. Literally, the picture was just her laying on a couch, holding the camera, like, behind where her head is, looking towards it, and, like, you could see boob, I guess, but it was fully clothed, and not even really that suggestive, just a photo of some girl relaxing, and then he says, "Holy shit, boing, boing," completely unprompted, yeah, completely unwanted. Nobody wanted him to say this, as far as I know. I certainly wouldn't have wanted him to fucking say it. And that's just a really fucking weird thing to say straight to a person, whether over the internet or not, and especially if not, and especially when it's not on an account that makes it very clear who you are. Unless, of course, people already know you, which some people probably would in this situation, because it's a small channel. Regardless, it's just fucking weird. I don't like it. It's not okay. Genuinely. A different YouTuber, I believe either British or Australian, I'm fairly certain he's British. This video is exploding. What the fuck? Why are you all so nice to me? Thank you all so much. And then I censored it and said Bandicoot related video, because he's a person who talks about Crash Bandicoot a lot. I don't know if it's a good idea to be saying things about the people that I have censored the names of. But then again, I don't know if it was really necessary for me to censor the names of them either. Because, you know. And then, of course, he says, not to be nice, only to spank to. If you've been on the internet for long enough or been conscious sometime during, I'd say, the 2000s or so, maybe 2010s, you'd know what that means as a phrase. But I just don't quite understand what the fuck he was saying that on a post about Crash Bandicoot. And not only that, but a person being happy that a Crash Bandicoot video they uploaded was doing numbers. Not to be nice, only expect to. That's where he fucking goes with that. And again, I had no fucking put on any of this. I don't know why I said fucking put. Anyway, I didn't have any input on this. And, like, if I was ever told at any point about any of these fucking messages, I would not have had him post them. He probably would have posted them anyway. But, you know, like, I would have said, no, don't do that. You're gonna look like a fucking idiot. Minus the fucking. And he would be like, no, I'll do what I fucking want. Not minus the fucking. He would probably actually say fucking. I wouldn't say fucking to him because, you know, I was fucking scared of him. And hated him. But mostly scared of him. Continuing on. Went to the Oppenheimer premiere. Movie was incredible. I'm not going to say who it is, even though he was already brought up earlier. But one popular YouTuber and his wife or girlfriend. I think wife. I think they got married. I'm not too sure. And then a Getty Images watermark, which to me usually insinuates that it's a stock image that has been photoshopped, or it's just the original stock image. But in this case, it can't be the stock image because it's that popular YouTuber and his girlfriend or wife. And then, Jesus, man, you can't be cramming all that fucking good looks in one place like that. Like, again, weird thing to say especially with that kind of enthusiasm. And not to mention that he didn't seem to notice a watermark, indicating that that wasn't how they looked. Plus, they kind of already would know that they look attractive, otherwise they wouldn't have posted the photo unless it was to be funny and they thought it was funny. But also, that's not the topic of the fucking post, which is my main problem. He just keeps going way off the topic of the post and being like, whoa, boner, oh, you're so hot, oh, fucking. I hate it. I hate it so much, and if I don't need to repeat myself. I don't want to repeat myself repeatedly over and over again, so I'm not going to. Just saying, fucking Jesus. Continuing on. Whoever has the most liked reply to this in 48 hours gets all my food revenue for the next month. I'm gonna be perfectly honest, this is just Mr. Beast. I don't even feel like I need to say anything else. It's Mr. Beast. Who else do you know who would be saying this and mean it? It's Mr. Beast. And then, of course, my dad's response is, revenue these nuts. This is one of those times where I'm going to be on a big tangent because, well, 9% of this video has been me on big tangents, but this one especially. So a lot of what my dad would do as jokes is take a random fucking word that I said in a sentence instead of listening to what I've said, like he accused me a lot of doing when I would just immediately retort with something funny, at least funny to me, is, you're not even fucking listening. That's what he would say a lot. And it was clear he wouldn't be listening a lot, because half the time, whenever I would say something, he would find some random fucking word that barely even works with a these nuts joke, and say, blank, these nuts. He did it so many fucking times I can't even think of a fucking specific one he made. But if you go on his channel, where me and him are shown playing games together, you can fucking see times he has said something, these nuts, or continually repeated the same these nuts joke over and over and over, even when I have told him to stop, which he does a lot of things even when you tell him to stop, but especially these nuts jokes, if you want to stay in the realm of not directly abusive. And it just pissed me off a lot, because firstly, that joke is fucking dead. Like the dead horse that you kicked in the nuts repeatedly to kill it, and are still beating it. And for the love of fucking God, it just wouldn't fucking end. There was a point where I just started fucking repeating my own jokes at him in retaliation for all the things he does, consistently, repeatedly, even when I tell him not to. Of course, I stopped listening to him when he would tell me not to do things, because why would I listen to somebody who won't fucking listen to me? And I know he's my dad, yada fucking yada, whatever, I don't give a shit. If he's my dad, he can fucking not be a man-child. Maybe then I won't be one as well. Of course, now I have no reason to be one, because I'm by myself, and have no reason to really give a shit. Yeah, it seemed like no matter what I said, there was a slight chance that he would make a these nuts joke out of it, instead of actually responding to what I said. But another thing he would do a lot is use the R word, as in re. I'm not going to finish that fucking word. He would even do it during recordings, and there are definitely times where you can find him saying that in videos on his channel. I'm not going to say which videos, because firstly, I think I already have them downloaded. Secondly, if I do say which videos, he'll delete those videos. If he sees this, which he... You know what? He might see it. And I don't care. I really fucking don't. But yeah, he would use that word a lot. He would call me that word a lot. And even though he would do that a lot, it seemed like he had no knowledge of the fact that I did in fact have some amount of autism. Or he did have the knowledge and hid it from me, or he just had an inkling and never even thought to agree with me one single time whenever I would say, I think I have something wrong with me. We're going to save that part of the conversation for when we get to the serious topics later on, okay? Okay. Next fight. This post was about a kid who was bullied because people would not stop fucking shoving LGBTQ stickers on him. Now, I don't know the full context of this, but I feel like many people at once forcefully sticking stickers on somebody is not cool, okay? I don't know what the reason was for, if there was a reason. I just know that in here it says, the day before, bullies at school put pride stickers on him. Which is to say, the day before this video was taken, it happened. I had to rethink that for a second. But yeah, the day before the video was taken, he had a bunch of stickers put on him. Why he had a bunch of stickers put on him, I don't know. They do say it was bullies, but I don't have the full context. What I'm presuming is that he is part of the LGBTQ, and he got a bunch of stickers put on him as a way to bully him, which I could see. Seems kind of ironic, which is probably why they fucking did that, if that is indeed the reason. The other possibility is that the bullies were LGBTQ, and were either bullying him for no reason, which, I mean, bullies tend to do that, I think, or they were bullying him because he was a piece of shit in the first place. Maybe not a piece of shit, but maybe a bit of an asshole. Not sure. So then the next day, he goes to school wearing the American flag. Because then people won't put stickers on him because he's wearing the American flag, and therefore, I don't want to deface the American flag or something. Or he's, showing that he's patriotic, which, you do you, right? I'm not going to complain if you are a patriot. I'm just not going to say that I am, because there's a lot of things wrong with this country. Moving on to what I was actually going to say here about this. He's wearing a flag, okay? Right? You can see that right there. And immediately, my dad's response, I don't know why I say immediately a lot, this was like the day after. But my dad's first response to this, and only of course, but his first thought. It takes a true hero to have courage not to back down from getting revenge on the sticker bullies by publicly and openly violating the literal flag code, except you didn't even know it violated the flag code. Oopsie. Which, to me, just tells him... it just tells me that he cares more about a fucking flag code than the mental health and emotional health and well-being of a fucking child. Or student. Maybe he's an adult student. Don't know. But people being bullied, I think, is more important than a fucking flag. Regardless of what country's flag, what codes there are about the flags, et fucking cetera, etc. I think it's a little bit more important that a person is not bullied because of what their sexuality is, or if they're trans, or whatever the fuck. Okay? That's my personal belief. And I thought that my dad had a sort of similar thing. But then, of course, I see, you violated the flag code. Oh, no. Oh, our poor fucking flag. And specifically, of course, I wrote down, oh my god, he violated the code. I'm pissing and cheating and crying. Shit is ready. The code, it's broken. Oh my god, it's an American symbol. Oh, this is so much more important than how... I can't say the whole thing in one breath. This is so much more important than him being bullied by having stickers shoved on the room for what I can only assume is his sexuality or gender. Seriously though, you're a broke bitch living on food stamps, you've been arrested for bullshit reasons plenty of times, and you're still more upset about the code than a child being bullied. Shut the fuck up for once. Pretty much sums up my entire thoughts. I just wanted to be a bit more specific about it, I guess. Or, I'm just not going off a script and I'm rambling, because, I don't really have the patience to do a script right now. My mental health my mental health is fine. My emotional well-being is not too great. Yeah. Not important, though. At least not right now. This is a different female YouTube person. I think the channel that she was a part of, is a channel of, like, many people at once. So, It's not her channel specifically. Not even the main character's channel specifically, as far as I know. They went to the dollar store specifically for Bayonetta glasses. They only had prescriptions, so you're gonna really see Ultra C today. Cool. And then a Twitch link to them playing Bayonetta 2, apparently. Bayonetta, more like Bayo Yuhara. That is like, again, random flirting with random people on the internet that are infinitely higher up on the totem pole to you because you're weird. And no other fucking reason, apparently. I hate it. And another person we watched who, had, basically this is the drama YouTuber, right? One of many. And unfortunately I do watch many of them, even though they're not a great genre of YouTuber. But, I mean, I like having situations summed up to me, so I don't mind watching them occasionally. This was related to the Colleen Ballinger incident, of course. And this was specifically talking about how she had blackface on. I'm not going to talk about that whole thing because I don't fucking feel like it. And plus, the moment has passed, and it's, already been talked about by like a million YouTubers bigger than me. So I feel no reason to do it. If you want to know more about it, just look it up or something, I don't know. And then my dad says, out from where? Name of the person who said the ukulele is coming back out telling us how she's changed. Out from where? I just don't know what he meant by that. Because that's such a weird fucking question. And it feels like he's implying that the ukulele is somehow supposed to come out of her fucking snap. Just so you know, I didn't actually say the word. I cut myself off in real time. And then I'm probably going to cut it even shorter in the actual video. I'm just saying, didn't actually say the word. Just so we're clear. Continuing on. This is the female YouTuber that I mentioned earlier. I thought I had a second comment about her specifically, but whatever. And he says the same thing from before to the same person to a similarly non-suggestive image. Why? Just why? Why would you do this repeatedly to the same people over and over and over again who have shown no interest in you at all and have no reason to have any interest in you at all? I don't understand. And then this is from the same group channel from before, which you might be able to guess, honestly, considering earlier. So, I don't know if the guy himself is gay. I think he might be bisexual, and he mentioned at some point. I'm not sure. I don't even know if he's had any partners. That's not really my business. And it's his birthday on this post here, and for some reason my fucking dad decides that this is a great time to just go, did I just become gay? But as far as I know, my dad is not gay, nor is he bisexual. As far as I know, he's completely straight, because he's only ever had girlfriends around me. And all of those have fallen apart, so he may as well be asexual. Asexual, there we go. And honestly, he may as well also be aromantic, because I don't think any of them like them. Genuinely, though, because one of them literally broke one of our windows. So, crazy. And then another one showed up like once or twice and never again. Not to mention the earliest one I can remember threw a can opener at him and it cut his cheek open. Just saying, not a funny joke to be making when you actually aren't. Not to mention, again, it's a weird fucking thing to say. Again. And then this is the British YouTuber from earlier showing off his chest because he had a heart rate on him and he lost some hair on his chest. He's making a joke about how he's not a man anymore because, hair on your chest. And then he says, sweet ballsack plural, which, who the fuck says these sort of things? to anyone, let alone in public on the internet, where everyone can fucking see it. It's just not funny to me. Maybe it's funny to someone, but to me, fuck no. This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's coming from my own bloodline. And it's really nice that I have the distance now to be able to see this and not think, what will he think of me if I even think that all this shit is stupid? Because now I get to think freely and then speak freely about what I have seen and thought about. Yippee dickily diddly day. Continuing on. Here's the important things that actually matter. That's the wrong folder. It's in up here in the expose. Right. Now, a lot of these are from about an hour ago because I had to re-download all of them from places I sent them to. So let's just go ahead and start out with, I might have downloaded them in reverse order, I'm not actually sure. I think I have them somewhere here. Give me one moment while I figure that out again, because I need to, yeah. Hello again. Again, we are in the same folder. I'll show you that we are in the same folder here, right? Because I literally gathered these all for this folder. What you're going to see now is a bunch of text specifically from me to my dad, and back, as well as some other miscellaneous things from immediately after, and also a good bit before I got kicked out of the house. And I will also play an audio clip for you later, which is very important to this whole thing, okay? So, for context, at the house, we've been having a lot of problems with our kittens getting out, which we ended up getting kittens when both of our big cats got pregnant by strays, because they also got out a lot. Basically, what constantly would happen is there'd be some random hole in the house that they could squeeze through. We would plug that up, they'd find a different hole in the house. First, there was like a little hole in the floor that we had to cover up with a board and a bunch of lamps and trash cans and whatever the hell else we ended up finding at the time. Then there would be one in the wall through the insulation that they would go to. There was one in the fucking ceiling behind the furnace that they would always be able to get up to because we didn't have a good way to block up a thing on the ceiling, as opposed to just shoving a blanket into a hole in the wall or something. Usually, there was also a hole next to the back door, which would be the main exit and entrance that I would take, because the fucking front door was either blocked by furniture or had a wasp nest of really angry fucking wasps that would attack me the moment I opened the screen door. But focusing on the actual subject I'm talking about here. Then there was also a window where the top frame of it fell out, broke, and that entire thing was basically just a giant fucking hole for the cats to get through. And I ended up having to put a bit of fly screen on the bottom of the window to prop up the bottom pane so that it would block up more of the top space that was now empty. Unfortunately, it did not block the whole thing. So what I had to do from there is block up the rest of it with a bunch of blankets. One blanket of which I managed to take after I got kicked out of the house, which I needed. And I'll tell you why later, when I get to a certain thing. It's not related to this specifically, but this is something to set up for later. So, eventually, I did manage to get that hole blocked up at the top of the thing, and then they broke through the screen, the fly screen itself, or the bug screen, insect screen, whatever you want to call it. They broke through that, and all of that, by the way, was behind a black tarp that we had in front of the window, specifically so the cats would not get in there as much, and so we could block out some of the light and some of the cold that would come in because the window was fucking broken. Because our fucking house was falling apart at every second of every day. And by the way, no, this is not the same window that some fucking crazy person that my dad liked at some point broke. That was a different window, which we ended up blocking with, like, some garbage from the gas station that they were throwing out. It was just like a giant fucking billboard sort of deal. And we just kind of taped that up into the hole of the fucking window. So that was fucking cool. Not really though, because then we ended up boarding it up anyway, so it was completely fucking pointless. Doing a lot of shit for no reason. I love it. I fucking hate it actually, but hey, whatever. Continuing on with what we were talking about. The cats and kittens broke through the fly screen, so they would get out a lot. They would get a lot of fleas. We did not have the resources to handle them getting fleas constantly. So that's where this comes in. Got back home, found out the kittens managed to get out past the window with a zebra print blanket. The fly screen in that one was collapsed in the sense that both sides were over each other instead of taking up the whole window space, and Floofy Jr. in. Okay, no, I'm definitely thinking of the wrong window here. No. This is a different window. I was thinking of the wrong window because I just knew there was a window with a blanket in it. But now, what actually is what I'm talking about here, it was a very big window with 2 panes left and right, which is basically like your normal window except way larger and sideways. For some reason, it was a trailer home, so maybe that's normal for those. Don't know. But in this case, we had the window open because we wanted it to be a little bit cooler in the house, and we had a fly screen on its side, lifted up as much as it could go, because these were the fly screens where it's 2 sheets of fly screen that you could like slide closer and further apart to like take up the window space. In this case, we had it vertically and up as far as it could go. It did not take up the whole window space. And eventually I found out that the cats had managed to push that down and then jump over it to get outside. So continuing on with that being the proper context as opposed to the context I just gave that was wrong. The fly screen in that one was collapsed in the sense that both sides were over each other instead of taking up the whole window space, and Floofy Jr. and Curtin were out there. Soap was in here and meowing loudly. It looked like she absolutely got swarmed with fleas, so I gave her a flea bath and some of the flea spray. Probably take a nap soon because I was already tired when I got home, and all this combined with having to empty the AC got me exhausted. We had a standing AC unit that needed to be drained every once in a while, and that took a lot of effort because I had to fucking drag it across a usually trash or clothes-filled floor, because my dad never did anything and made me do all of it every time, and I would honestly just constantly wait to see if he would ever do any of it, and he wouldn't. So eventually I would just have those problems and not feel like fucking dealing with them. It would just be nice if I had some help every once in a while, but anytime he would say he would help, he wouldn't actually help. At all. Continuing on. Also, the TV speaker seems working again. That's not really that important. And then, of course, the first response my dad has is, James, you absolutely have to start paying better attention and care to these cats. That screen doesn't even fill that whole window. How long has it been there? We couldn't do the flea bombs because of this, and they are literally eating the kitties alive, James. So, what happened here? I wasn't fucking home, and something happened with the cats. And somehow, that's my fault that they got out when I wasn't there. So he's like, you need to pay attention when you're not in the area that you could pay attention to, that you need to pay attention to. And maybe he was saying pay attention to the fly screen. I fucking was trying my goddamn best to have a sort of situation where something was blocking the window, but there was still air coming through, so that we wouldn't be boiling the fuck alive, because it was a very, very fucking hot summer at that time. And yes, this was during the summer. This was like somewhere in August. There's no timestamps or anything on these for some reason. But, yeah. August of like this year. Last year, maybe. Pretty sure it was this year. And it was fucking boiling hot, so I wanted the windows to be a little bit open while I wasn't there, so that it wouldn't be fucking boiling hot and the cats would be dying from heat stroke or something. And for some reason, somehow, it's my fault that they decided to use that to their advantage and exploit it immediately. And Soap, specifically, as in Soap the kitten, which you can tell there's a kitten named Soap, was like infested with fleas. A lot of the kittens were infested with fleas. And we had 2 different kittens die, unfortunately. One was named, I believe, Muffin, who managed to sneak underneath a sink that we had improperly installed. It was like fucking sideways, and there was like a little hole in the bottom of the sink frame that that Muffin had somehow managed to sneak underneath and died, and we didn't find them until we noticed that he just wasn't there anymore. I don't know what gender Muffin was anymore because it's been that long. But Muffin got stuck underneath the sink, or they crawled under there to die, because apparently cats will crawl into places and die when they know they're about to die, because they don't want to upset you. And I presume that maybe that maybe that's what was happening in that case. And a similar thing happened with Ashtray, but I think Ashtray was already too weak to do that at the time, because while they were hidden, I still found them a lot faster than we found Curtain. Muffin. I keep getting confused with Curtain and Muffin because they were very similar kittens. But anyway. Sorry, I didn't want to end up getting choked up now, but I love both of those kittens, and they just died unexpectedly. We'll talk more about that later, because that's another important thing. But for now, this is my dad getting upset at me for something that I could not control because I was not in the fucking house at the time. Meanwhile, if I would ever be like, pay attention to him, or anything of that sort, he'd still get mad at me. And not to mention the fact that he was barely ever doing anything even when he was home. You know, like however the fuck a cat managed to sneak under the sink and die without either of us knowing, and then he blamed me, apparently. Something I forgot to mention was that the cat was there for several weeks and dead for several weeks, and the smell was in the house, and for some reason we didn't question it until several weeks after it started happening, apparently. Or at least maybe several days. A very long time of the cat being missing. Neither of us noticed. And yet somehow it's my fault. I just didn't know that Curtin was even Muffin was even fucking dying. I fucking swear to God, if I say Curtin one more time. Let's move on before I keep rambling and getting more upset about this. So, this was later on. We had made plans for a specific day to use flea bombs, like the gas things, to fucking kill as many of the fleas in the house as possible. And then, for some reason, after we had made those plans, we changed the plans, and I just didn't remember that we changed the plans, because, I mean, it's kind of fucking difficult to remember that something like that happened when you have to deal with what was basically the death of, like, 2 different kids at the time. Maybe. So, I forgot that we had planned for a different day to flea bomb the place. So I was doing it on the day that we had originally planned. So, my dad says, hey, it's supposed to be really hot again today. It might be best to move out to the living room with a fan in the window, AC off before it gets really warm outside. Don't worry if the cats get outside, except for So. Please do your best to keep an eye on her and make sure you get flea bath or a good spray down sometime. And then I say, Dad, I did the fogging already, and I'm going to the vocational thing today. I'm already sitting outside. That wasn't supposed to send twice. It didn't send twice, apparently. It just didn't send once and then sent again. And then my dad's like, what the fuck, James? So I don't remember what he is fucking getting upset about. So I say, what? And he's like, do you really not remember already that we said last time we were going to do that when I would be home too? And, of course, I didn't remember until he reminded me. Which, by the way, he would always get annoyed with reminding me. And he would get annoyed when I say I don't need reminding. And there's no good middle ground there. So I will be honest. I don't like getting reminded, and he doesn't like reminding me. So it's kind of a fucking impasse there. And to be perfectly honest, I understand that whole thing was kind of a little bit annoying. But he would always remind me about things that I do not need reminding about. And when he would remind me, he would fucking drill it into my head, which would eventually make me forget about it, because I would focus more on the way he was fucking saying it than the fucking thing he was actually saying. I don't know if that's an autism thing or what, but the tone of what he was saying would always stick with me more than what he said. Like him being a massive asshole and being a mean old dick about it would stick with me more than what he was being a mean old dick about. Hence why I forgot it here, at least I think. Of course, this was several months ago now, so I don't know. And then fucking... So you just left the cats on the porch while you're gone. Okay, what was I supposed to do? Leave them in the fucking house while it's fogged with the flea spray that is toxic? No. That was the next best option for what was planned already. Or what was originally planned and then changed later. And again, I will admit, it was a bit stupid for me to forget this, but fucking come on, man. And then he asked me where I put the foggers and how many of them. In this one here, this is a continuation of the same thing. I put one in the living room, on the table, one in the dryer in the laundry area, one on the TV table in the bedroom, and one in the bathroom on the sink, since there's a bunch of fleas hanging around there. That's pretty much the entire house being fogged. So then you find something else to complain about. You put one on the table with the TV and the computer, the big table in the living room, not the one with the flat screen over it, so the one with the cards all over it. So two things there. One, he's more worried about the TV and the computer than the cats. Not to mention that there's like 2 tables out there, and for some reason he immediately assumed I put the fogger next to the more expensive stuff. And then 2, he's more concerned about fucking cards than the kittens. Cards that we didn't even use that much to play, but we did play with occasionally. Not to mention, we weren't ever planning on reselling them. And it doesn't really matter if they look worse, because we're playing with them. And, not to mention, we had a digital version of the same fucking thing. So there's various reasons not to actually give a shit about the cards being damaged over the kittens, and yet he's still worried about that. Which tells me he's just finding ways to get mad at me. Which feels like it's true for a lot of the things he fucking gets mad at me about, you know? And it really does genuinely piss me off. So, all the brand new Isaac cards. Binding of Isaac Fossils, specifically, by the way. Like the newest expansion and all the other expansions before that, because we did a Kickstarter thing. It's a long story, and I no longer care about it because I no longer have the fucking thing. Anyhow, I even mentioned I specifically tried to turn it so that it wouldn't be spraying on them. And I checked the instructions and yada yada, it didn't say anything about it. So I specifically say I tried to turn it so it wouldn't be spraying on them. And besides that, I checked the instructions, yada yada. It didn't say anything about cardboard or anything like that. Just plastic coverings and wax covered things. He says the cards are wax covered. Maybe I'm stupid, but I think if something's wax covered, you can scratch the wax off. And trust me, I tried to make sure that they weren't covered in wax. And maybe there's waxes that can't be scratched by the human fingernail. But I have big fucking nails, and they fucking get through stuff pretty good. So I feel like if they were wax, I would notice. But my dad says they're wax covered, so maybe they are wax covered. I don't know if laminated cards are like actually wax or if it's a different thing entirely. I don't fucking know. And then, of course, his next point is, and you weren't supposed to do it in the first place. I don't understand why you would do this after we talked about it last night, and how we were going to make sure we were there to keep the cats safe when we did it. Need to put the balls out there too, at least. So again, I already mentioned that I forgot it. So of course he brings up the thing I forgot. Acting like I didn't say I forgot it. I know that's not an excuse, but he's saying he doesn't know why. I told him why already. Very fucking clearly. and he's still getting upset about that specific thing. And then I reiterate, I forgot we said that, okay? Just like I forgot you told me you got pulled over. He did tell me that. I forgot about it, and I was probably too tired when he asked me about it at the time, I believe. Regardless. And yes, the bulls are out there. I've had them out there since in preparation for when I would get the foggers going since Tuesday. I literally had them out since Tuesday, and he never questioned it once. These messages specifically were from the first day of that week. So, 2 whole days. Didn't say anything. Didn't even ask. And I freshly filled the water. And then he starts talking to me in all caps, which of course means he's yelling, even though he's always fucking yelling. You need to stop forgetting the stuff that matters, James. We talked about this before I even went to Brandon's. Now they're on a hot porch outside where fleas are, and neither of us are there to make sure they don't get outside, or back inside where it's going to be toxic for them. It's literally supposed to be hotter today than yesterday, and they're stuck out on the porch baking all day. Now, how long are you supposed to be gone? Let's go back a bit. Before he went to Brandon's. That was around fucking midnight, when I was already tired and exhausted and wanting to go to sleep. I remember this clearly, because it seems like a very fucking good reason why I wouldn't remember that he said it. From there, the porch was pretty much always less hot than the inside of the house. Not to mention, I also brought the fans out there, specifically so they wouldn't be being boiled alive, and they would have some kind of air circulation down there. It was still very hot. They were still very hot. But I tried. And of course, that's yet again not even mentioning the fact that there are fleas everywhere in the fucking house because the entire fucking place has been infested. The entire point of the foggers that I was using at the time. Literally the whole point of what I was fucking doing. Probably until around 2, like it's been every other day. I usually get home around 2:30. The van's taking a while today, so if it doesn't show up next half hour, I'll just stay here for the day. Again, this was around 8:34, so they would have been there about 6 hours, give or take. I think I was there for like another half hour before they actually showed up, so it wasn't really even that. Of course, that is still a long time to be out in the hot and such. But as far as I can tell, my input there was done by the time I'd filled the bowls and put the fan out there and put an ice pack out there. That's all it took for them to be fine. At least as fine as they could be. I maybe occasionally moved them in front of the fan so that they could be cooled off a bit, but they could have done that themselves. So, as far as I can tell, would have been fine. And then, of course, I let them in a little bit earlier than they probably would have been let in otherwise, because the foggers, they had to be there for like a while, but not quite 6 hours. Just long enough that the fogging was done, the fog had soaked in stuff, and then I could ventilate the house. So maybe around like 4 or 5 hours total. I'm not sure. Maybe it was free. I really don't remember the exact times. Anyway, I told him we'll go on the porch and wait. Staying here doesn't mean I'm going into the house yet. I'm just going to make sure the cats are okay. And then his exact point was that he can't go in the house, and it takes like 4 hours. And I know that's what his point. That's why I said I'm not doing it. If I have to wait 4 hours, I will wait 4 hours. And then I apologize for making the mistake, which I don't usually fucking do, because he never believes I am sorry when I say sorry. No matter how many times I say it, no matter how very particularly I say it, and no matter what it's about, never fucking believes me. So there's that. And then, James, it is so frustrating. I swear I wish you understood how frustrating it is when every time I turn around you don't listen to me. I just can't believe you didn't even think to talk to me or where you should put them or how many or anything before you went and did it this morning. We had already discussed several places to put them before. Bathroom, laundry area, living room. That was when we were discussing about me doing it today, which is what I thought the plan was because I forgot you wanted to change it. Again, I feel like that's a pretty fair, reasonable explanation for what happened and why, but he's still going to keep arguing. It is literally heat wave today, and you and the cats gotta cook on that porch all day in it. If it helps to make up for the wrong I've just done, then I don't care if I have to cook for 4 hours. And then this is the main thing that is so unreasonable with my dad. James, I haven't been teaching you to do wrong to need to be made up. I teach you to do right. Everyone makes mistakes. I think everyone knows that everyone makes mistakes. So somehow he expects me to never make mistakes and never have to correct my mistakes. Just feels like a little bit fucking bullshitty. Oh, and here's where now I realize this is after Ashtray died, because he says we've had 2 goddamn cats die from neglect and heat. One being Muffin, the other being Ashtray. I almost said fucking Curtain again. Then I start doing this, because at this point, I don't fucking care how I win this argument. I just want him to stop acting like he is always in the right. This is basically my first time standing up to him, because I can only seem to do that over text. Because whenever I talk to him, try to stand up when I'm talking to him, he acts like I'm disrespecting him, and he shouts over me before I can even finish any sentences. He even does it when he's not shouting. He interrupts me all the fucking time. So here, I can actually be on even ground with him because he can't fucking interrupt me. He can sure as hell ignore what I'm saying, but this wrong was a mistake, just like I was a mistake. I'm trying to do right by making up the wrong that I did not intend to do, because I thought that the wrong was the plan at the time of doing it. I'm sorry, I'll say it a million times, you won't believe me, but I am. I'm trying to make it up to you by staying here. I will keep you updated on the condition, you don't have to forgive me. I pulled the I'm a mistake card, specifically because I just wanted him to shut the fuck up. But he did at one point tell me that I was an accident. And I said mistake, because I wasn't sure of the specific wording he used. But I consider them to be both the same fucking thing, because I have a very fresh memory of, I believe, my 4th year teacher saying that there are no mistakes and there are no accidents, because they are both the same thing, and there are none of either of them. That is a completely bullshit thing, and I don't appreciate that sentiment at all. There are mistakes and there are accidents, and they are the same thing, and they both exist at the same time. So then he starts being like, what do you mean you were a mistake? As if he didn't say that. I know he fucking said that. He didn't say mistake specifically now that I have thought of it. He said accident. Same fucking thing to me. And James saying sorry doesn't cut it. Being sorry is not just saying you're sorry. To just say it but never correct the behavior you're sorry about is basically a lie. He says to me, as though I am not, currently, trying to specifically correct the behavior that I just fucking did as a mistake, and apologizing about. And the only reason I have so much trouble believing you is because you still lied to me to say about so much. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but my lying, as far as I can tell, is a fucking defense mechanism against him specifically, because he is basically the only person I've lied to. Maybe occasionally a very small lie to other people, but not anyone I actually care about. And most of it was to get me out of trouble from them as well. And most recently, I lied to my grandpa when I said I was just taking a walk instead of, being fucking homeless. And that was immediately before I was taken off out of town, and etc., etc. Continuing on. Yeah. I'm not saying that it's right to lie. But what I am saying is, I lied to him a lot because he was a piece of shit, and I didn't like him, and every lie I gave to him was either so he would stop fucking being on my ass about something, which actually half the time worked, and I'm going to admit that now. Dad, you're a dumbass, because it seems like you always get when I'm lying wrong, and when I'm telling the truth wrong. You get them fucking flip-flopped, and then when I am telling the truth, you don't fucking believe it, because for some reason the truth is what's unreasonable to you, and the lies aren't. Not are. You would grill me repeatedly until you got the answer that you wanted, basically. Not the truth. Because the only truth is the truth that you believe in, apparently. Now, continuing on. You made me accidentally. I remember you telling me that, therefore I was a mistake, and I'm quite literally trying to correct behavior by making up for the behavior, as I mentioned earlier. James, that is not what I said, and clearly not at all what I meant. Certainly not at all what I meant. I mean, when you say you were an accident to your own son, what the fuck else do you think that means? And, by the way, yes, that is what he fucking said. It's a very, very fucking present memory in my head, even though it was from when I was younger. And how is anything you can do now after the fact correcting anything? How fucking stupid are you, Dad? Genuinely. Like, genuinely. When you take a test, right, and you fuck up some of the questions, and they allow you to correct your answers, you do it after you have already done the thing. Correcting mistakes is the same fucking thing, because in a quiz, when you mess up the answers, those are probably mistakes, if you can correct them. And if they aren't mistakes, they were from your lack of studying, which was a mistake, which you can also correct, and then correct the quiz. You can correct things after they have been done. Like, it doesn't apply to every fucking thing, but it applies to most fucking things. And in this situation, it definitely applies. At least I fucking feel like it does. Maybe I'm stupid. The bombs are still in the house, the cars are still... Cats are still stuck on the porch all day with fleas, and so are you too. Correcting behavior would have been listening and paying attention to what we talk about. This kind of thing doesn't happen in the first place. Correcting the behavior is fixing the behavior before the fucking behavior has happened? No, it fucking isn't. How fucking stupid are you? Preventing and correcting are two different things. Correcting a mistake by filling in whatever gap you would have filled in. If I did remember, you said to wait till you could be here. I have put a fan here to keep them cool. The flea spray is right here, and right now it's too late for me to do that, which is why I'm doing this instead of doing the vocational thing. I am trying my best to make this better and take responsibility. How could you not remember? I literally had you tell me where the kennel was and talked about what we might put them in to take them outside and how it'd be cooler when I got home. I literally can't answer that question because how would I know why or how I can't remember? I think this is a great point too. Maybe I'm stupid or narcissistic, I don't know. But if you can't remember something, how would you be able to remember why you cannot remember it? Maybe somebody in the comments can say how exactly. Right? Maybe they have an idea. I don't. I don't get what the fucking point was here. You can remember what we talked about 2 days ago, where to put foggers, etc. What we talked about last night, you completely forgot. Last night, as in fucking midnight, when I was too tired to really pay attention to what was being said. Because I was part of the original plan, and honestly I was probably tired at the time you were talking to me last night, because I was tired most of the day. I can't say for sure that's the reason, or a reason at all, but it is a possibility. If you think you feel like a mistake, why are you bringing that up now? Why are you deciding to bring that up now? That's not what I just fucking talked about. You just decided to bring that back up. For no reason. Feeling a mistake has nothing to do with any of this. I only brought it up as an example. If it has nothing to do with any of this, then how could it be an example? Because it is a mistake that was made like the mistake I made. And it was also the only mistake I can think of in the moment. And you think calling yourself a mistake is comparative for this, in the sense that it wasn't supposed to happen, and clearly made everything worse for everyone involved? Yes. I say that because my dad, his mental health is clearly fucking shit, and his emotional health is made worse by me, which is made worse by him, because my emotional health depends on him not yelling at me every 5 seconds, and his emotional health depends on me not lying, which is impossible for me to fucking do, because every fucking time I want to actually tell the truth, I just end up fucking coming up with something, so that he fucking gets off my ass. I've never once ever called you or insinuated you were a mistake, James. You said accident. Same fucking thing. You understand that I've stuck by you and never left your side, and you were born to suggest that you are not a mistake. That doesn't suggest that whatsoever. Excuse me for a second. And the fact that Mom did leave suggests that I could be a mistake if we're using your logic. I have since learned that my mom did not leave intentionally, and that he went through a whole court case just to make sure that he had custody of me. With no shared custody at all. And even aside from all that, it won't stop me from calling myself a mistake. Your mom was a mistake. That's one way to see it, I suppose.
I now no longer believe that my mom was a mistake. In fact, I believe that he was a mistake, which is what he just says here. Maybe she left because I'm the mistake. Except she didn't leave you. You left her. Or maybe she did leave you. You were a piece of shit to her. So if she did leave you, reasonable. If you left her, I don't fucking care. Maybe that's why my own dad and everybody else's never left. Yeah, your dad was kind of a mistake too. I agree with this statement still. His grandpa, my grandpa, not great. At least as far as I can tell. But somehow, he's still nicer to me than my dad is. Even though he's not great either. But whatever mistakes we are to each other people is, don't do mistakes that we choose and do, James. That's the mistakes we're responsible for. When you make a mistake, you're not actively saying, I'm going to make a mistake, you know? What you are doing is saying that you're going to do a thing, and then it turns out the thing that you did was wrong, and you fucking regret it, and you're trying to fix it. Or you don't, and you're not great, but, you know. Yes, and I'm trying to be responsible for my mistake by staying here and taking care of the cats the best I can. And be clear, I'm not trying to be sassy or anything. These long paragraphs is just allow you for me to type out long things and say them. I love you, okay? Another lie. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't love them. I never loved them. I love them at some point. But within the last decade, I don't think I have.
But James, you gotta stop and think. If it hadn't been for the chance of me messaging you, you would have never thought twice before you left. I understand you were trying to make up for it, but it's very important that we don't have to make up for something that we did wrong, because just like how today could have went differently, and what either of us been able to do after we're both gone. I love you too, James, forever and always. You're not a mistake, not to me. I want you to be. Again, still trying to say that the best way to not have a mistake is to just never do a mistake, which isn't wrong, but it also isn't possible to just not do a mistake if you don't realize that you are doing the mistake, which I didn't at the time. And I'd like to thank you for messaging me, because that let me know about the mistake that I did so I could correct it. I don't understand how it is or can be corrected. It can't be corrected, it's done. It would just be nice if he understood what the fuck correcting meant.
In case you're wondering, the literal definition is to show or tell somebody that something is wrong and to make it right. So basically what I was trying to fucking do.
You don't go to a correctional facility and expect to just not be able to fucking correct yourself in terms of like mental health or whatever. That's what a correctional facility is, right? Like a mental facility. Am I stupid? Look. Well, actually, no, that's a jail, isn't it? Regardless. That I can do whatever you call the next best thing of not just leaving it in the worst possible state it could have been if I did not stay here to care for them. It's better that I do this than just leave and not do anything. If you don't agree, that's fine. I'm just doing what I think is best in the hole I've dug myself into. Yeah, James, I get that, but even though it's better than leaving them behind, it's still a lot worse than what it was supposed to be. Again, too fucking bad. It's too late to change what has already happened. Therefore, shut the fuck up and accept that it has happened. God damn it. It's still going to be just as blistering hot for them, and now you have to deal with it. I don't care about myself being blistering hot, okay? Don't be so worried about me. I'm worried about the cats. I'm going to prioritize the cats being cool over anything else, and I have ways to do that. Fans and ice pack, mainly. I'm worried about all of you. And how are you getting fans and ice packs without going inside? I go inside, cover my face, go inside, cover my face, take one to eat, and get right back out. Closing doors, enter and leave so they don't follow me. It's better that I do that if I need to rather than just standing out here doing nothing. God damn it, James, this is why it worries me. You're not supposed to be inside because it's toxic. I'll be fine, and those ice packs are going to be warm in minutes. It's still better than nothing. I can always put ice in their water too if I must. No matter what it takes, I'm not going to let them get hurt again. Yeah, well, what if you keep getting them? Yeah, well, what's going to keep them from getting hurt if you black out from the fumes and heat? You really think that's going to happen? I am very particularly taking a shirt off my body, covering my entire mouth and nose with it, running into the house, closing the door behind me so the cats don't follow me in and get poisoned by the fumes. Meanwhile, I have a thing covering my face, so I don't get poisoned by the fumes. I am going in for a fan, which I won't need to go back in for, and ice packs, which I won't need to go back in for unless I'm putting them back in the freezer to wait a while and then get them back out again, which I didn't do. And somehow he still thinks I'm going to get fucking killed by fumes or heat. I'll be fine. I'm telling you this with 100% certainty. I'll be fine for 4 hours. You're literally arguing what I'm telling you, because I'm certain I'll be okay. I'm arguing with you because you're fucking wrong, and you are assuming the absolute worst out of this situation every single second that you're typing. Okay, you know best then. That's sarcasm. He does that shit a lot, where he says, okay, well, you know best, I'm just the old person, I don't know anything. It's a fucking guilt trip, and I don't appreciate it, which is why I immediately said, something tells me you have absolutely no confidence in my ability to take care of myself. James, yes? You're telling me you're going to the damn house when it's full of toxic insecticide, for very short periods, with my shirt and hand over my mouth, while taking as few breaths as possible. I am doing these things as safely as I can manage. I know I might not be able to make the best decisions, but that doesn't mean I can't make it work. And besides that, you stayed in the house with me for a while for the first time we bombed the house, so I think we're both just as stupid. That was one single bomb in the bedroom. I came in and out 2 different times, and that was enough to fuck up my throat for the next 2 days, and I haven't had any negative effects with 4 of them around the entire house. Like, this whole thing is going on because you didn't listen to me, and now you're not listening to me about not going in there. Not wrong. Don't give a shit. Because I'm still going to make up for the mistake that I made, and it wasn't me not listening, it was me not being awake enough to remember what the fuck you said. And then, okay, just do whatever, James. Another guilt trip, because fucking he knows I don't want to just do my own thing. Because he fucking knows that I'm clearly disappointing him with that, and he knows that I know that. So yeah. Then, a while later, are you all doing okay? Yes, we're fine. I'll be ventilating the house in a few minutes, and we should be good to go around 12:40. Once we get back inside, I'll be starting some laundry. How's lunch? Yada yada yada. Some stuff about the DMV. And then, as I'm getting fucking close that line, he immediately calls me twice, leaves a voice message, and then goes, "Real James." So, yeah. Typical crazy parent thing to do. Get annoyed when somebody doesn't answer you the first couple of times because they're fucking busy doing something. I'll let you read the rest of that, but the rest of it really isn't that fucking important to me. Because I don't believe he was really worried. I think he was just being an asshole to be an asshole. Right. So this now. First thing. I accidentally left a big log of hamburger in the back trunk of the car. And for some reason my dad never noticed that it wasn't in the freezer before it, spoiled. So he just sends me a fucking picture and a text complaining about how expensive it was or whatever. You think he would have maybe gotten it out himself, considering he's the one who bought it? Or something? And I got every other thing out? But no. No, somehow I'm the wrong. Somehow I'm the one in the wrong. Because, of course. And then the ones after that, you have exactly 5 minutes to get your ass home. This was immediately after he kicked me out of the house by having a conversation with me, having me fucking tell him to his face by nodding in response to a question of his that I do not love him anymore, and then saying "get out" loudly, almost fucking tackling me, though I dodged out of the way and ran past him to get out the door and ran all the way to the back alley while he was just yelling out, "Okay, bye, I love you," trying to fucking guilt trip me again. And then at some point after I had been gone for a while, he said, "You have exactly 5 minutes to get your ass home." I don't have data on this phone. I've never had data on this phone. Maybe not never, but not for a very long time. And he seemed to assume that I would be able to see that ever. So, I saw that, because I used the library Wi-Fi. I chose not to respond, because then he would think I didn't see it, and that would give me as much time as possible to just not bother. Then the day after, which I believe was, I ended up seeing after I had already managed to escape town, he said, "James, please come home. If you're not coming back home, you need to tell me you need to bring back the phone." No, I don't, by the way, because this was a gift to me, and therefore it legally is mine, and it has all of my information and none of his information on it, aside from what I have screenshotted, which would be things I could access from this side anyway. So this phone is my phone, no matter what. And it doesn't have a phone bill either, because the fucking data doesn't exist on it. He's not paying for this phone, currently, I'm not either, because there's no phone data on this. But it is my phone now, because it is a gift to me. And it is also the only thing I managed to bring along with me from the house in the escape that I had. Oh, yeah, and that reminds me. I was mentioning a blanket, a window, that I had put up on a flat screen and put some blankets up on top, yada yada. I took one of the blankets from that window in the night, the day that he kicked me out, because it was freezing, and I only just thought to do it at that time. I had thought I might be able to take some other things of mine from the house, but I didn't really trust my ability to sneak around, and I didn't want to wake him up, for obvious reasons. So then, the day after I got out, somewhere around the middle of the day, I got taken out of town, and he messaged me, James, please come home. If you're not coming back home, then you need to tell me and bring back the phone. He missed a call, and then he's like, James, I worry fucking sick, and I've been driving all over everywhere looking for you. You need to get a hold of me, please. As if I have any reason, want, need, or any sort of thing of that degree, to want to talk to him after he threatened me to come back home, after he kicked me out of the house immediately prior to that, as if he didn't fucking want me out of the house the moment I said I don't love him. And then, this is a screenshot he sent of me, of his text messages to me, from his end of the conversation. Notice how he has this on, like, the Verizon app, meaning he has data, and I don't. And of course, I can't see a lot of the messages from my end because I blocked his number. So, the last several messages he sent to me were, James, are you serious to leave me on Discord? Are you really serious? Just like that, you're gonna remove me from your life like nothing. How can you do this to me? All because you got yelled at for doing wrong? You never cared enough to do right? You'd rather just leave and throw me away? You need to call me and let me know you're okay at least, James. I can't believe you right now. You really don't care about me, do you? Just like everybody else. I hope you'll be happy now. I guess I love you, son. So, I'm going to pick apart every fucking statement there. Yes, I blocked him on Discord. You know why? Because he sent the same threatening message to me there, and I didn't want to hear any fucking thing from him. And yes, I am going to remove you from my life like you're nothing, because you're worse than nothing in my life. You are literally an active detriment to my life every waking moment that you exist. And it's funny that you never seem to realize that. And then, how can you do this to me? Only because you got yelled at for doing wrong? I did not just get yelled at for doing wrong. What happened was, you charged me out of the fucking house like a goddamn crazy bull, and then got mad at me when I didn't come back. It's totally, entirely your fault for deciding that the best move would be to scare me out of the house. If you get enough to do right, you'd rather just leave him from me away? More guilt tripping. You need to call me and let me know you're okay, at least, James. No, I don't. I'd rather you think I'm dead, so you never contact me again. But of course, that's not going to happen if you're watching any of these videos, because you know that I'm not dead, because you can see me uploading them. So yeah, of course not. Can't believe you right now. You really don't care about me, do you? No, I don't. I stopped caring about you ever since the first time you started yelling at me and beating me up. I could give less of a shit about you now. Just like everybody else. And whose fault is that? Whose fucking fault is it that nobody else cares about you? Can you take a fucking guess? Do you know what the common factor is? With all your relationships? They all involve you. Hope you'll be happy now without me, I guess. I love you, son. I am very happy without you. And no, you didn't fucking love me. I don't believe for a second that you loved me. Maybe at some point you loved me. But when you charged me out of that house, you stopped fucking loving me. At the minimum. I think it was way before that point that you stopped loving me. But you kept pretending. Just so you could keep me around as some, like, fucking slave to do your chores. I hope you're fucking doing them now. You know? Because if you aren't, that means that house is fucking full of shit. And you've actually become hoarders. Like you would always say to me. As though it's my fucking responsibility to keep the entire house clean all the time. It shouldn't be. Should be half of my responsibility, half of yours. You never did a damn thing, though. So whatever. Now, a few more things, which I forgot about because I scented them and then put them in a separate thing. So now I need to go to that folder as well. But they should have been in the folder I was just in there. So this image is an image I took after I was kicked out. It's really the only proof I have that I was, wandering the streets at night. Because I only really took that image and then some audio recordings, which I will be linking in the description. There's a whole set of audio recordings. However, to access them, you will need permission from me specifically. So, no. So, this is a bag of mochi ball things. I found it digging in the trash because, and for some reason there was just a whole intact bag of those things. No idea why. Maybe the person who bought it didn't realize it had something they were allergic to. I don't know. All I know is I found it. It was perfectly intact. No rips or tears or anything. So I took it, and I took a bottle of soda out of there as well. Went to the nearby gas station, rinsed it out in the bathroom sink, and filled it up. And I had a little bit of water and some food to just tide me over for the night so I wasn't starving. I was out there for hours, from around 2, I would say, all the way up until noon the next morning. Noon the next morning doesn't sound right. Noon the next day. And that was with bare feet and only my phone. Yeah, just only my phone to my name. And barefoot, walking around on sidewalks, gravel roads, normal roads, and occasionally taking a break at one of 2 park gazebos. One was down by the river, and the other was next to the fire station, because there's literally a fire station park. And then eventually I ended up laying down at the gazebo at the fire station park and sleeping there. Although sleeping is subjective, because for a good while, couldn't sleep, and I kept circling around the block, going back to the library to message my significant others so that I could, have some kind of human contact while I was basically dying. Not really dying, I guess. I was, all things considered, okay, but it was a very cold night. And it took me until 2 for me to realize, wait a minute, if I can go back to the house, there's a window with blankets in them. I can take one of those blankets or more if I need, but I only ended up taking one because I didn't want to make it too loud and obvious, and I was also worried there might be bugs inside them, like spiders or wasps or something, so I didn't want to stay around there too long, especially not staying around there too long. And there was glass around there as well, and I was in my bare feet, so I didn't want to end up stepping on any of that. But basically, took a blanket from there, used it to keep myself at least somewhat warm during the night. And by the way, the bottom of that gazebo was concrete, and not just concrete, but really broken up, dusty concrete that had no structural integrity at all. So there's that as well. And yeah, I was basically just walking around in bare feet for over 8 to 10 hours total, because I didn't sleep much either. And I kept getting up to keep myself warm and walk around. So yeah, that was pretty awful. It's not like the full homeless experience, but I basically had a free trial, if that makes any sense. And now that I kind of know what it feels like in one day, not even a day, I can't imagine what it feels like for the people that have had to be like that for years. Maybe not years. I don't know how long homeless people stay homeless or alive. Either one of those. But even more than a week of that would just be awful. And of course, it was in a particularly bad month to do it, or a particularly bad climate, because it was pretty cold. It wasn't exactly winter yet, but it was like September, October. So it was pretty fucking cold. But not like winter cold, just very cold. And it was like midnight, so even colder than normal autumn cold. Continuing on though. This is a thing my mom sent to me after I finally reconnected with her, because I needed to know her name to get my birth certificate reprinted. And also just because, I wanted to meet with the other side of my family that I hadn't seen in like most of the 18 years of my life. So, nope, 19 now. 19. 19 years of my life. So, I'm going to give you a summary of this. Basically, when she was pregnant, my dad pulled her out of bed by the ankles because she wasn't sleeping with him. And fucking bent her fingers back while she was nursing me and dug keys into the top of her hand as she was trying to get the baby seat so he wouldn't just drive off of me. So, generally, very abusive. A lot more physically abusive than he was to me. However, he was still physically abusive to me. Just in this case, seems like a lot worse. And she did leave. I think maybe I said earlier that she didn't leave. She did leave. I'm sorry, I'm getting my facts all mixed up here. To be fair, didn't script this. I just took a bunch of screenshots of various things and then downloaded some screenshots that I took from prior to now. And then I have a bunch of evidence that I also didn't script, but, documented at the time of the thing. So, it's fine. Anyway, my dad was abusive to her. She had left, and she hoped that it would be best for me to be find ahead, because he had a good place to live and could keep me warm. And she was not able to do that because of things I don't want to articulate, because, it's kind of her stuff. And he wrote a song about how she left me, which I could swear I remember, but I'd have to find the song. And I don't want to be looking for that song, because I don't want anything to do with him. I didn't know anything about this. Not a single clue. So I think this all happened without me even ever hearing about it. It's not shocking, because, of course, my dad being the abuser, he wouldn't say anything about it. Why the fuck would he? That would make me look badly on him, and he knows that. Which is probably why he kept me away from my mom so long, even online, or through phone calls. Hell, we only ever met once, forever ago. And my memories of her face were completely different from what she actually looked like. Now that I've seen it again. It really had been that long. It's insane. Continuing on. This is another email from my dad, from his fucking work email. So I'm going to read this and break this apart. I love you. No, you fucking don't. I just want you to know no, you don't. I'm always here for you no matter what. You're here for me no matter what. Yeah, that's the problem. That's why I left you. Because I don't like you in any way, shape, or form. For reasons I've already discussed throughout the entire rest of this. I just wish you could talk to me. Anytime I try to talk to you, you shut me down. Every fucking single goddamn time. No more talking. Time for action is past as well, because I've already acted, and we are done. If you are mad at me, I understand if you're mad at me and not ready to yet, just please don't cut me out of your life, son, please. Again, you chose to chase me out of the house. And this is entirely your fucking fault. This was your decision that led up to this. Blame yourself. We can still have a relationship even if you don't want to come home. It doesn't have to be like this. Do you think I want a relationship with my abuser? Because you are an abuser. That is what has happened. I'm not even going to say allegedly. You just fucking are. That's just what it is. And I would fucking know better than anyone, considering I lived with you for 18 years. And of course, I have other people. At least my mom, who said that you are not very good. So I personally believe that, yeah, you're an abuser. And I don't want any fucking thing to do with you. Too fucking bad. Of course, that's my opinion. And I don't know for certain that it's true. But I'm fairly fucking certain. Love you and I miss you. No, you fucking don't. Well, maybe you miss me. You know, as your slave. That you were fucking making do all your chores. And you were never doing any of it. Maybe you miss me in that way. I'll probably hear from you someday. Guess what hasn't happened? At all. All you've heard from are my vocational rehab representatives. Next thing goes from that to being like, you want me gone from your life? I guess your wish will be granted, all because I yelled at you when you did wrong. How unfair. It's okay. No, you don't love me anymore. If I suddenly don't, I'll get through this. And then there's that image that I showed you earlier from his side of the conversation. So he's fucking acting all fucking upset like this because, oh, I don't want him in my life anymore because he fucking yelled at me one too many times and, physically attacked me one too many times. Like him tackling me, or almost tackling me, on my way out of the fucking house before I'd even started moving. As in moving physically, as in walking or running in any direction. I wish he didn't get through this, to be honest with you. But he clearly has, because he's still on the channel, doing things, as you have seen earlier in the video when I was visiting his channel to show you things. And then there's this again. Damn it. And then eventually his boss called me because, there was some sort of thing happening over there. I don't really know what exactly. Apparently he got sent to site work. My dad got sent to a site work, and his boss called me because I was one of his contacts for some reason. And I didn't really see it because for some reason my phone number app did not give me any notification that it happened. So I had to go into the app and then see that it was there. And by the time I had even responded, it was a bit too late. And I wanted to tell him about what my dad had done to me, because that would have been a really good way to get back at him. But this is where the conversation ended. It didn't really go anywhere, and I'm not going to force it into anything. Maybe. Hello, all of you again. I was going to end it right where I just had it there. But, let's just say I've had a change of heart. For the worse, at least in my dad's case. Because genuinely, I'm getting very frustrated with a certain thing he's doing. And I feel like I can't let it slide at this point. Plus, I think I was going to talk about this anyway, but I forgot to. So, I may as well bring it up now. You see, immediately after I was kicked out of the house, forcefully, and then threatened, with something very vague, as in, not directly said, just, you have 5 minutes to get back home, which was very clearly a threat. Right after that happened, at least about half a month after, my dad started, flooding his fucking Facebook with a bunch of shit, and actually, pretty much right after he started doing that, but it wasn't as directly obvious as to what he was doing then, to anyone who wouldn't know, anyway. Of course I did. I didn't check his Facebook up until, like, a month or two ago, because I didn't want to have anything to do with him, but eventually I needed to use Facebook for something, which I'm not going to say what, and eventually I found his Facebook, and I saw what the fuck he was doing, and it was a whole a lot of bullshit, which you're going to see now. So, again, pretty much right after this happens, he immediately starts changing his cover photos to pictures of me and him when I was way younger, like years and years ago. I do not remember the last time we had a camping trip of any sort, especially not a roast marshmallows over the fire type. I've censored his face and his last name. I'm just going to continue because the heater is not turned off, but I was rudely interrupted again. So, he changes his cover photo to something with me and his face in it, which, if you knew the situation, would mean, oh no, my son's gone, oh, I'm going to change my fucking background image to something of me and my son, because I miss him so much, or something to that effect, even though I doubt that's real. For the sake of having this video not be over 3 hours, which, I mean, it's not over 3 hours right now as I'm saying this, but it's kind of getting there. I'm just going to say right now, he does this, like, about 4 or 5 other times, with, I'm assuming, the exact same intended effect. I'm going to cut out any other time I mention that. Back to the normal stuff that is important. This was relatively soon after. This is like the bottom of the entire post. It was more than a screenful long, so I did not screenshot both halves. I just screenshotted the part that was important. At least it looked like it. Figuring out how to get through every day since James walked out of my life. Walked out of your life. As if you didn't chase me out of the house and then threaten me. I'm sure I totally just walked out of your life with no prior prompting. That's what happened, of course. It's the absolute hardest shit I've ever had to try to deal with in my life. Harder than living with myself for growing up. That size's kid. Harder than burying Lindsay. Okay, so somehow me leaving you, for reasons that you caused, was harder than burying your girlfriend, who you claim to have had PTSD over, because of that. Not to mention, she threw a can opener at you. And somehow you still liked her. Maybe that would be an argument for why me leaving would be harder. But you clearly liked her quite a bit. And I don't believe for a single second that you liked me more. Other than my mom passing away. For some reason you seem to think that, for some reason, grandma passing away wasn't hard on me. And sure, I did say I feel surprisingly numb about this. But that was just because I hadn't been with her for almost a decade, I think. Probably not that long, but it felt like it. At least half a decade of not seeing her a single time. Which was how it was for all of us in the family. And I don't know why, well, no, I do know why you cared so much. But I only ended up caring after I remembered just how much she meant to me. And that only came when I saw her obituary. It reminded me just what all we did together. There was a lot of nice stuff. It even reminded me of a conversation we had together. Though I don't remember the full thing. Just generally about the sky and the stars and how beautiful it was. That brought me to tears. So clearly the effect it had on me was just dampened by having lived with you, alone with you, for years and years and not seeing her a single time. Meanwhile, your main thing was you didn't get to tell her that you lied to her. Is that really what you want to tell your mom when she is on her deathbed? Generally speaking, I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. You should have said it sooner, is what I'm saying. But of course,
your constant fear of Grandpa, and he isn't going to call it a fear, even though it's clearly more of just a hatred. And I'm not saying for bad reasons, but a hatred nonetheless, and an unwillingness to go near him. It seems primarily due to that you didn't get to see her yet. And I could have seen her, but I chose to stay with you. No matter how many times you wronged me. And the only reason I ever did that, really, was because I knew and could tell that you were just going to get upset if I did go. Because you always gripe about me being the only thing you have. We're gonna get back to that later. But at the same time, it was the first time in nearly 20 years I knew I could actually try to go take care of myself without having to worry about having somebody look after James if I didn't come home and just push it down for someone instead. The first time in almost 20 years, even though for the last several years you have not gotten me any sort of babysitter or any sort of thing like that, even once. And most of the time when you go to work or other such stuff, I am home alone, and you still expect me to do most of the chores around the house. And by most, I mean pretty much all of them, except for when I don't do one for long enough that you just decide to do it anyway because it needs to get done or whatever. It'd be helpful if you actually tried to do it, like, before I got to such a point where, like, I don't know, pots and pans in the sink have maggots in them. Like, entire infestations of maggots. It'd be nice if you tried to deal with it before then. I know the same could be applied to me. I should not be the one doing all of the fucking work. And for a while I was. You weren't even having a job for a while. And yet you still seem to act like I was a big burden on you or something. And don't even fucking try to tell me that's not what you were saying. Especially here. You were very clearly saying that for the first time in 20 years you didn't have to worry about me. It's clearly what's happening. I don't give a shit what you say. You're not going to convince me otherwise. My life is fucked, but somehow it's always fucked right where it needs to be at the time. Yes, because I'm sure this happening at any other time wouldn't have made you more upset. Or less upset. Sure. I'm sure you're totally not just saying all this to gather pity because, my life got fucked up at just the right time, and therefore that's fine. No, you don't think it's fine. You want your little fucking slave back. And it's not gonna happen. And maybe I'm really delving way too deep into the slave thing. It just feels right, Because I did all the fucking chores for a very long time. You didn't even have a job. You were trying to get me to have a job when I didn't have an ID or know where any of my documentation was. Which is why I've been having to get it now. Of course, ignoring the fact that you kicked me out of the house and didn't let me get any of it. Or send any of it to me. Unless I was going to go there and get it personally, which, of course, is never going to fucking happen, because I don't want to see you ever again. Especially not in person. I want to get through this a little bit faster, so we're going to do that. My dad has been putting several rap verses that he wrote from, like, over a decade ago. As if they mean anything. He's being like an edgy fucking 12-year-old and reciting lyrics to his favorite song, and his favorite song is either his own songs, which I'm pretty sure a lot of these are, or some random fucking person from like a decade ago. That was one of his friends. And as far as I can tell, he is no longer one of his friends. Wonder why. Anyhow, that's why I'd be all alone. They would just want to take from me and help a lick, but they want to split the take with me. It really sounds like what you're trying to say is that I never helped you with anything at all. And, frankly, that's a load of fucking bullshit. And you know it. I'm the only one you have. But apparently I'm not worth anything, huh? Well, you better be fucking happy I'm gone then, huh? Instead of acting all depressed over it. Yeah. So fucking I feel like nobody wanna play with me, and that's real. You act a different way with me. You acted a different way with me to other people. Which is why most other people don't know about this shit. And the ones that do, they just don't care because they think you're a good person and I'm just lying or something. because you call me a liar a lot. Truth is, the only person I ever lied to was you. At least as consistently as it happened. You were the only one who deserved to get lied to. Because you were such a massive piece of shit that no matter what I said, you would be mad. No matter how many times you say that you won't be, you will be. And I know that for certain. If it weren't for the fact that you've already shown me that a million times, I wouldn't believe you. Regardless, because you have bipolar, you have PTSD, you have all these fucking mental issues that make you angry, clearly, as often as possible. And if they don't make you angry, they make you act all depressed for pity points. And then angry later, because you stay stewing in the fucking thought for so goddamn long that you just don't let go of it. No matter how fucking hard you try or how fucking long it takes. And by the way, you are not okay. Juxtaposition of the weak and strong and willful of so many people that seem so alone. Yeah, maybe it's because you're a massive, gigantic asshole to all of them in person, and when you aren't, you're being fucking weird and creepily flirting to big influencers for no good reason. I felt like comparing myself to few so late in that way with nothing else to do. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. But also, everyone compares himself to other people. Who gives a shit? It'd be, well, the ocean was transparent. Okay, well, we're so blue. Wow, what a great fucking line, yeah. I'm gonna be honest, it's just, I never cared for your fucking raps. I never cared for most of the rap songs that you listen to either. Especially when you kept playing them at times that seemed like they were very convenient to the situation. Almost as if you've done this before. Repeatedly. And then never learned from it. Which is a thing you accuse me of all the time. And while it is accurate, you are no fucking better. Evidently. I feel like fighting. I feel like fighting. I feel like hitting you in the face with a shovel so hard your skull explodes, but I'm not going to. Unlike you, when you beat the shit out of me so hard that I bled on the floor, and then you threw a gross, greasy trash can at me while I was on the floor crying and told me to shut up. You piece of shit. Betrayed by God. You know with 100% fucking certain you don't believe in God. You do not believe in God. And I don't believe in God because you don't believe in God. Not to mention, pretty sure God's not the one who punishes sinners. It's Satan. You deserve to be in hell. And I wish you were real life dying. As in literally dying. I wish you were dead. I hate you that much. Please shut the fuck up. Permanently. Yet another verse. Is it a verse? It's a lyric. It's a set of lyrics. I tried meditation, tried to sit in silence, but how the fuck does it help in neurochemical imbalance? I don't know. Maybe you should try more than that. Maybe you should try, I don't know, therapy, actual medications. In addition to the weed that you already smoked. Copious amounts of, even when it wasn't legal. Maybe you should have done that. Or you tell a person they were childish without an understanding of the pain they surrounded. You are such a hypocrite at all times, and you never seem to understand just how much of a hypocrite you're being, because no matter how many situations I was crying in where you were beating me the fuck up, or yelling at me for so long, and I was crying, you were telling me it was fake tears, and that I should stop just trying to fucking trick you or lie to you, as if I'm doing that just to piss you off. It's not how that works. Doing it as a defense mechanism, and no matter how many times you tell me that you are going to punish me less for not lying, it's clear that you are lying when you do that, when you say that. No matter how many times you have said it, it has never been true, no matter what. Because either A, you assume I'm lying regardless, or B, you still get mad because it was a thing that I told you about, and it was bad.
So no situation in which I do not lie ends out better than when I do. I always feel foggy somatic detachment, like my body isn't connected to actions.
Sure. Not to mention the fact that your body not being connected to your actions is physically impossible. And you should probably have said your mind. Not considering that fact. You sure do like to act like only you can control your actions at all times. Because you abuse that excuse on me all the fucking time when I say I don't know why I did something. Because I didn't put much thought into it. But what the fuck ever, I guess. It destroys everything that's infected fragments that don't have nothing but senses and sadness. I wish you had nothing at all. I wish you were a fucking corpse on the floor, so I never had to see you ever again, or hear you ever again, or read any of your stupid fucking boomer-ass texts again. And then one of the I miss you son heartbreak emojis, ones, where he apparently did something exactly on the anniversary of him saying something. So, I'm gonna break down this entire paragraph, because it's a reference to something clearly. Oh, sure about that, are you? I don't know the exact contents, but I'm presuming it's in Mary Poppins because, that's the only name I recognize. You've got your mother to look at you, after you. Do I? Do I? I don't think I do. I think it's entirely your fault that I don't. Mr. had a fucking entire court case to relinquish her custody of me. I'm so sure that I had my mother take care of me. Meanwhile, you had your mother before I did. Or maybe not before I did, but for more time than I did, you had your mother. Strange, isn't it? And yet, for some reason, you want to act like you losing your mother is such a massive fucking deal in comparison to me losing my grandmother, which is the same event. At the very least, it's on equal fucking ground, and yet you want to fucking use it to guilt trip me. You fucking asshole. And, by the way, I don't have a Mary Poppins or a Constable Jones. All I had was you. And you were not worth anything in my mind anymore. So little, in fact, that when you chased me out of the house and then threatened me, I chose literally the opposite of what you told me to do. And you know why? Because I knew if I did what you told me, it was already too late to do it. So I figured, you know what, I'll just stay out here and prove a point. And prove a point even further by escaping permanently for fucking ever. No matter what the cost. And the cost was so little in comparison to the cost of you being around me at all times that in the metaphorical sense, because I can only pick one metaphor for this right now, it's like when people bought GameStop stocks and then the fucking stocks shot right the fuck up. If I'm remembering that correctly. Shot right up. They bought the cheapest shit and it went boom. Meanwhile, you were like trying to buy a stock directly before the Great Depression. As in, the worst decision ever. Staying with you was the worst decision ever. And I'm glad I didn't make that choice. Who looks after your father? Well, I don't know, maybe if you stayed on good terms with your grandma and grandpa, or, sorry, my grandma and grandpa, or you didn't lie to grandma just because grandpa told you, which I think is something you've actually tried to do to me at one point. Not to mom, of course, because mom never fucking got to see me hardly. Entirely because of you, as far as I know. But just because grandpa told you not to tell somebody about something does not mean that you just don't. Like, yeah, snitches get stitches or whatever, but, sometimes you really should snitch. Just like how when I snitched on you to DHS, PBS, for fuck's sake, CPS, whatever the hell the fucking organization was. But more specifically, I snitched you out to my teacher because you beat the fuck up out of me. And then when CPS or DHS or whatever the hell came, you ended up seeing the homework assignments where I snitched on you, and then you got mad at me, and then guess what you fucking did? Beat me up again. And yelled at me. Like you do with every other fucking problem you try to solve, you just yell. No wonder you get the police called on you so often. When something terrible happens, what does he do? Oh, I don't know, it depends on who caused the terrible thing, but more often than not, he ends up yelling at me. No, let's see, fends for himself he does. Yeah, well, maybe you kind of fucking deserve to fend for yourself when any other time I have to fend for myself, and it's underneath your barrage of bullshit. Who does he tell about it? No one. Wrong. You tell me a lot. You tell me a lot of your problems. All the fucking time. Don't believe his troubles at home. He just put it on his job, uncomplaining and alone and silent. Yeah, speaking of job, you didn't have a job for like a very long time. We were living off of food stamps for like 5 years or so, it seemed like. Because you just were not getting a job. And don't tell me that you were getting a job. Because if you were getting a job, considering you have a fucking IT college degree, I think you would have gotten it before the end of 5 fucking years. And as a matter of fact, I believe during those 5 years, right before you ended up getting the job, you said you were getting back to job searching. Which to me indicates that you were not job searching the entire 5 years. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding the situation. I'm not going to listen to you for that. Because why should I listen to you anymore? Regardless. Now, for the rest of these are all videos, which I can't show here. I mean, unless I went to his Facebook and, did that shit there. But that would be really hard to edit out his name and image from, so I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to show you a single shot from each one, pretty close to the beginning of the video. This one, I'm doing dishes at the sink, and he starts recording me without my knowledge or permission. The moment he starts the video, he says dishes, and I can already tell, just from the tone in his voice, that he's doing something stupid. I turn around and see that he's recording me, so I just walk out of the fucking screen, out of the frame. This is like after years and years of me getting fed up with him just recording me at random times. It pissed me off to no end. Here was on my birthday. Because, of course, he would fucking do this on my birthday as well. Just to, try and get even more guilt points. Because, oh no, my son's not here on his birthday. Oh, I totally would have had so many cool gifts to give him, yeah. Meanwhile, I got way more from the high school teachers that saved me from the bullshit that happened than I did from, my father. And it wasn't even, like, cool toys and shit. It was just practical, good shit. And a shit ton of it. Somehow that was infinitely better. Also, the cake sucked ass. Also, you'll notice a pattern. Although the date says that they were very recent, these videos were from years and years ago. This one, we aren't even in the same house as this one. And this one was the last house I was in. But this was very near the beginning of the time that we were in that house. And I can tell that because the sink is actually set up in the spot it's supposed to be, and we didn't have a dishwasher, otherwise I'd be using it, because I'm washing the dishes by hand. This was near the beginning of the fucking downward trend into bullshit. Then here, another completely different house as far as I can tell. Maybe it's the same house. I can't tell very well because I can't see much of the house here. And I don't remember when these things were happening. But here, he was tickling me without me saying that it was okay, as usual, and I fucking hate when he does that. Specifically, he would always flatten his hand and then jam it into the crick of my neck, and that would always kind of just piss me off a lot. And I would usually just attempt to swat his hand away, but yeah, it didn't work, obviously, because he's a fucking pushy piece of shit. Then here, the video starts with me having my book bag in front of my face because I do not want to be recorded. So he tears it away from my hands, so I just turn around and face away from him until he stops recording again. Just, again, a running gag of just, he keeps recording me when I don't want to be recorded. Even at a very early age, I knew that I did not want to be recorded.
Right. I saved this because this is a picture of my grandma. I didn't. It's not important for this, but that's her. May she rest in peace. Sorry. Anyway. And then this one here, which, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know how old I was here. If that was really 2008 when I got that shirt, I would have been around 4 or 5. But something tells me it was probably like a year or two afterwards. This is just a video of my dad asking me various questions about the planets, and then all the comments are about like, oh, hey, you're real good at teaching your kid, even though it's like almost 100% fucking certain that he didn't teach me, but the school did, because I seem to recall learning about the planets in school. And if it wasn't that, it was me learning the planets before school and then being a really big fucking snobby piece of shit about it. And regardless of when I learned the planets, I'm certain I didn't learn it from my dad, and instead I learned it from school or from Beekman, because I watched a lot of Beekman, and I remember him talking about the planets. I really enjoyed Beekman. I wish he was still around. Well, I think he's still alive, but yeah, whatever. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, to get this all off. Dad, go fuck yourself. Stop fucking talking about this. At least stop fucking lying about it. Because I know that you think you're gonna get as many pity points as possible with all this shit. It's not gonna fucking work for very long. Whether it be because of me tearing you down, which is what you fucking deserve, or just from people realizing that maybe there was a reason I left, and that you shouldn't really be, taken off the hook completely. Whatever ends up being the case. I don't care. Just fuck the fuck off. It'll end sooner or later. Whether it be by my hand or not. Anyway, enough of that. Right. One more thing I wanted to show you all. Listen, this is really important, okay? On the day of September 5th, 2023, as you can see in the title of this audio recording, which I have both on my phone and in a Google Drive full of these things, I managed to record my dad being particularly frustrating, is one way to put it, I guess. Particularly loud, another way. And listening to it genuinely makes me feel sick, because I have to hear his voice again. Ugh. And then, even though it puts me through a lot of stress to have to bring this up for this, I'm doing it so you guys can see just how fucking painful every single day of this was. This was the only recording I managed to get of him specifically, but I can tell you 100% certainly that this sort of interaction happened at least once every 2 to 3 days, at least on a bad month. And yes, I do say month because it seemed like a lot of the time it would be the entire month that would be this bad. On a good month, maybe once a week, maybe, but more than likely twice or 3 times a week. And in the last week or 2 I was there, it was pretty much fucking constantly. Or if it wasn't constantly that, it'd be constantly silence and me worrying that it's going to get much, much worse. And it did eventually get much, much worse, like I thought it would. So I'm going to turn this up for myself so I can hear it. I'm going to pause after anything I want to comment on. I want to remind you, this is completely authentic. It's not fucking acting or anything. And it wasn't even scripted or rehearsed or anything, because every other one of these is. It's me talking about things that happened. This is the only one that shows, in a way, audibly shows you
what happened, like, daily with my interactions with him. Let's just get this over with and be done. That was me entering the bedroom. Me and my dad had to share a bedroom for a while because, well, basically it was getting too hot in the house, and he did not want to stay in the living room anymore, so he basically just decided to start being in my room because it was the coolest part of the house and the easiest part of the house to cool down. As much as I really didn't want to have to do that, it was kind of necessary in a way. And besides that, even if I did agree to it or did want him to, it wouldn't have mattered. He would have still forced his way in there. Like, even though I didn't understand perfectly fine that there's a reason he has to be in there with me, he still would have done it. And he would have been pissed off if I said, get out of my room. Because apparently he can just go wherever the fuck he wants and ruin all my privacy all the times. Trash bag number 1. He was watching Hoarders at the time, if you're wondering what that is in the background. It's not anyone in the actual house, just Hoarders. Which he liked to compare our house to Hoarders a lot because it was so messy. And yet, never do anything about it, ever at all. Except for very rarely.
I don't understand how you didn't even, if you brought these over here, how come you didn't just set one down like this? The very first one you brought over.
So in this case, basically what happened, my dad was rearranging my room, and I really didn't actually want it to be rearranged, but I fucking agreed because I knew if I didn't fucking agree, he'd just get annoyed with me, like with every other fucking thing that I know he's gonna get annoyed with me about. So, that's whatever at this point. So I said and offered that I would be able to move the bed from one corner of the room to the other corner of the room. Basically, it was a rectangular room, big window on the far end, door on the not far end because that's where the far end is from, and, you know, 4 corners and all that. I had to move the bed from the right-hand corner, which was on the far end next to the window, down over to the left-hand close corner, which was directly to the left of the door. And in the way of it were a computer desk and also the computer with it, as well as, like, the TV, which we, you know, kept in there while we were doing that, as well as a million other fucking things. And basically what he's getting mad at me about is, me, the person who the room belongs to, because it's literally my bedroom, I decided that I didn't want to fucking be completely 100% thorough with the way I put stuff in. So I had to get stuff moved over in such a way where I moved the mattress first, then the box springs, then the big box spring under those box springs, and then do all that in reverse order again. And in the time that I had done it, I had blocked up the wall where I was supposed to put the bed. I had a tape measure, I measured the fucking thing, and because the fucking box spring was in the way, both of them, all 3 of them, and the mattress, even, I had to fucking hold the tape measure up to the ceiling while having it be at the same fucking length that it's supposed to be, and then judge from there whether or not the bed would fit in the area. And I didn't think it would, So I just rotated it in such a way that it was a little bit different. And then for some reason, when my dad gets home, he asks me first immediately why the bed is like that, which we never discussed a specific way to have it rotated at all, and I know for certain that we didn't. And then he asks if I measured it, and I said, yeah, I did. It was a bit difficult to do so, but I did. And he was like, okay, sure. And then I leave the room for like a few minutes, and in the time that I am gone, he, for some fucking reason, decides to measure it himself, and somehow his measurement differs enough from mine that it actually does fit there, and I was just wrong. And then when I fucking get back to the room, he starts yelling at me about that, because he apparently just thinks I didn't fucking measure it. I did. It was just a fucking weird way of measuring it. If he fucking knew I had autism, which he should have fucking known, because again, I was in vocational rehab, even then, and I literally need to have had some kind of disability in order to be in that, which is the entire point of me getting evaluated, which we did the year prior, and when I brought it up to him that I might have autism, he was like, well, that's not a diagnosis, that's just the doctor telling you what he thinks. Which, isn't that kind of exactly what a diagnosis is? But anyway, he got really fucking mad at me because the bed was turned the wrong way. In my room, that I didn't want to rearrange in the first place, but offered very fucking graciously to do it all by myself while he was at work. And which I put so much fucking effort into, and got really fucking exhausted in when doing so. It's just a stupid fucking thing to get mad over. And not only that, but he assumes I lied about trying to measure it. I tried to measure it, and it just didn't fucking work, apparently. For reasons I don't fucking know how to explain, aside from just, I did it stupidly. Oh, boo fucking who, I did something wrong. What the fuck ever, it's a mistake. But as you know, he doesn't take very kindly to mistakes. At all. Literally will yell at you over any kind of tiny mistake you make. Or a big mistake. He'll yell at you bigger for the big mistakes, but he'll still fucking yell at you regardless. Continuing on.
Like, there's so much shit about why does it get done that just shows that you just chose not to do it because you're fucking lazy and it pisses me off, James.
You know, it pisses me off getting yelled at for doing something wrong. And by the way, if I was lazy, I would not have moved the bed at all. I didn't even really promise you that I was going to move the bed. I said I could probably move the bed by the time you get home. I did not promise anything. And yet you're acting like I did, or that you told me to do it, which you didn't, and I didn't. And you're acting like somehow, because you don't understand why I did something a certain way, that makes it just a lie, or that I was lazy. That's not how it fucking works. And no matter what I tried to tell you, that would not matter. Which is why I ended up saying pretty much fucking nothing. Or at least nothing audible to the recording here. Because I was saying it very quietly, because I was fucking terrified, and I don't speak very loud when I am scared. But yeah, you get pissed off whenever I do something wrong. And I definitely don't get pent-up rage and frustration and terror every time I hear your voice now. You have PTSD. Yeah, you haven't. Yeah, only you. Only you. I'm sure I don't have it either. I don't know. I don't know if I do or not have it, but the way this video makes me feel. Not video, audio. The way the audio makes me feel really makes me think I might. So that's good.
So here we are at the end of the day. And you can't fucking sit there and act like I'm being out of fucking line here.
Yes, I can. Because it doesn't. I'll let him give his fucking reason.
Because it's all the time.
You know what else is all the time? You fucking yell at me. And sure, you're gonna say that's a consequence of my actions. Half the time I'm not lying when you think I'm lying. And then when I tell you I'm not lying, you do not believe it, no matter what. So I end up having to lie to you. And then you believe me. Because it's the truth that you wanted to hear the whole time. And it had nothing to do with whether it was actually truth or a lie. You just wanted to hear what you wanted to hear. No matter what the situation is. And I can tell that's that way, because even when I tell you and promise thoroughly over and over again that I am not lying to you, you just don't believe me. Or you find some fucking way to fucking make me look like the bad person. Meanwhile, you want to just show me the good parts of myself to... You want to show the good parts of me to your friends and shit, and act like you were the one who caused that. No, what happened was, I fucking hated you so much that I started doing good out of spite, because it felt like you wanted me to fail, even when you were very clearly trying to get me to not fail. It felt like you wanted me to fail emotionally, or physically, or mentally, because if I ever succeeded in any of those things, I would kick your fucking ass, or leave like I already have. And God forbid I ever end up being right about something. God forbid I fucking make the right decision that isn't the decision you wanted to be made. God forbid I do anything like that.
I think so too. Laura, I'm really impressed. Almost like you brought them all over here and put them up against the wall, and then this way, and never once managed to be able to measure that or set one of these like this to see that it fit.
I tried to measure it first, as I told you already at the time of you saying this. And I couldn't set any of that down because the rest of the shit was in the fucking way at the time. And you would probably know that if you saw me doing it, but guess what? You weren't there because I told you I could do it when you weren't there, specifically. And you said, okay. And again, I didn't promise to do that. I just said I could probably. And again, just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not the fucking truth. Seriously.
That's what I see. And then gave me the impression you measured it, and then it
I fucking did.
wasn't gonna fit.
I thought it wasn't.
Am I saying anything that ain't fucking true?
You say that like I would tell you that you are saying the things that are true, when you are yelling in my face consistently the entire time, and I know the moment I say, yeah, you're saying something that's wrong, you are going to yell at me even more, and then demand I tell you what, and then fucking make me freeze in terror and fear because I think you're going to beat the shit out of me, or if I even do saying anything that's literally genuinely untrue that you're saying, you're just going to dismiss it, because that's what you fucking do every other time. Literally every time. Fuck you.
So is there any surprise of why the fuck it pisses me off?
No, because every fucking thing pisses you off. There is no surprise anymore. There's just fear. That's all there is. And fear doesn't have to come from being surprised. But it can come from having an atmosphere of terror built around you at all times. And then having it come out from being screamed at. You know, like Silent Hill or something, where they give you a good bit of atmosphere and then they throw a monster in your face and it scares the shit out of you. You are the monster. The house is Silent fucking Hill. I don't know if Silent Hill does that specifically. I'm just using it as an example. Cry of Fear definitely doesn't. So Cry of Fear.
But you keep doing it.
And I'm so excited.
And you don't give a fuck.
Assuming things about me just because you think that I didn't measure a bed to move it into place. Thinking I don't give a shit about anything just because you think that I did something in a way that was lazy, even though I did it in the best way I thought I could at the time, and then I failed to do it correctly. Failing to do something doesn't mean I didn't give a shit. It just means I did it wrong, and people can do things wrong and still not be a fucking horrible person. You, on the other hand, do both of those at the same time.
Tired that.
About my fucking mental state or my emotional hospital stay or nothing. Apparently.
You just equated me to failing to put a bed in the right place and orientation that we never discussed beforehand, to me not caring about your mental state or emotional state. Meanwhile, you're yelling at me so fucking loud that I am clearly, visibly upset in front of you, as well as crying. I know I was crying at some point during this day. Might not have been during the recording, but every fucking time you yell at me, I get visibly upset, and you know it, because otherwise you would stop fucking yelling at me, because it wouldn't be working. But no matter how hard I try, I can't hide how fucking terrified of you I am when you fucking scream at me endlessly. And you know I'm too terrified of you because you once saw me pull out a knife on you and then fail to stab you when you ran directly toward me. So you fucking know how to exploit me. I'm glad you can't fucking do that anymore.
You just give a fuck about you.
You just give a fuck about you. And for some reason, me doing a bed wrong, even though it doesn't matter which orientation it is, you can fucking sleep on a bed, even if it isn't right ways up. Of course, you'd be sleeping on the box spring, but it could still be better than the fucking floor, wouldn't it?
And the fucking phone.
I care about the phone because it allowed me to record this. Eat a fucking dick. Also, I care about the phone because it has, my best friends, my loves of my life, pretty much everyone I know except for you on it. And you are the lowest piece of shit scum I know. So, you are put in the F tier, and my phone with everything on it is put in the S+++ tier because you're that fucking shitty that you elevate my phone even higher.
And whatever the fuck else.
Yes, of course. Whatever the fuck else. Whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. Real fucking specific and clear, yeah. Not to mention, of course, that, again, you're just assuming I care about everything else but you. And at this moment, that wasn't entirely true. And hell, even as the day before you kicked me out, I told you that it's very fucking clear we are not good for each other's mental states. Because you fucking yell at me constantly, and I do the things that cause you to yell at me constantly. Which clearly causes you the stress when I'm doing them, and clearly causes me the stress when you're doing that. But you don't actually give a shit when you yell. Even if you say, I don't want to have to yell at you or beat you up. I can tell it's a lie, because if it weren't a lie, you'd find some other fucking way to deal with your problems that actually worked, instead of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to do anything else. You know what that sounds like? The definition of insanity. Can you please fuck off?
Anything but me, right?
At this point, yes. Not at that point, though. And the only reason that's the case now is because I know a lot more about you now. A lot more awful things about you. From people's perspectives other than your own. And my own. And I already didn't have a high opinion of you from my own perspective. But I heard plenty of things from other people, and I know you're a lot worse than you seemed, and that sure is saying a lot considering I fucking hate you more than anything else right now.
Anything but me.
Thank you.
By the way, good job repeating yourself so I hear you, even though you're fucking shouting in my ear holes. Not directly into my ears, he was sitting a few feet away from me, but that's still shouting directly at me. As if I can't hear you the first fucking time.
Thank you.
Right?
Also, he keeps trying to press me for answers on every single question he asks, as if I need to answer every one of his questions every single time.
On one hand, you do a great job. She's making good decisions. Why isn't it?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what I said there to prompt that, unless he just shouted at me in the middle of me not saying anything. The fact that I can't hear myself, because my phone is in my pocket at this point, really making it hard to tell what I'm saying. But, regardless, I was probably just trying to say, it's not entirely like that, or something to that effect. And then, of course, he just immediately makes it a thing of absolutes. It's just hard to extrapolate what I want to say when I'm being fucking screamed at. Hence why I would say something like, well, it's not completely like that. Or I don't, ugh, you know. And a lot of the time when I fucking am being screamed and yelled at by him, it prompts me to just say I don't fucking know, because I can't think of the thought in my head that would actually get me to say the correct answer. Because I'm being fucking yelled at, screamed at. Sometimes he has beaten me in the middle of asking me questions and expected me to firstly keep the question in my head and secondly answer the question as soon as he asks it to me. Every single fucking time. As if firstly he is entitled to answers to his questions, which nobody fucking is. And B, the sick feeling. What the fuck was I talking about? Yeah, he's not entitled to answers to his questions, and he's not allowed to fucking force questions out of people. But he'll fucking do it to me because nobody else is gonna know.
Know what?
Also, know what? As if the question you asked wasn't very clear as to is it or isn't it, and then no. What do you think that fucking means? No, it isn't. Even if that is a lie, you should be able to tell that I am saying no, it isn't. But you just want to yell at me more and force a more direct answer out of me, even though there's no fucking reason to, and you're just doing it to make me even more scared.
Well, then when are you gonna fucking act like it?
Not ever again. Never. And that's entirely your fault for being this kind of piece of shit for a very long time.
When are you gonna not do everything that fucking goddamn does that shit?
When you stop being a loud, abusive, fucking menacing asshole at all times, no matter what the situation is. Which is clearly going to be never. And even if you're not the loud kind of asshole, you're the quiet, manipulative kind of asshole who lies on Facebook about, what happened to his son, and lies to his boss, and lies to various other people. Constantly. When he himself would say to his son, don't lie to me, because I'll get madder. Guess who's getting madder now, you fucking piece of shit?
Alright, I understand you laid with us. Is that right? Okay, but we got the rest of the family. Don't answer me! Because you know I love that!
Maybe if you stop expecting answers to your questions all the time when I'm clearly not going to always give them to you, you wouldn't be so frustrated when I don't give you an answer that you firstly don't deserve and secondly, I don't have. Because I can't just give you a specific time and date as to when I'm going to stop doing this. Especially when I don't know when you're going to stop doing what you're doing. Fucking dickhead. He plays like a telltale game. They say silence is an option. It isn't. No matter fucking what.
Yesterday was a big day for you. I want to get a sense of how you feel.
Oh, well, there's a lot of stuff that I want.
I think the rest of this is nothing, but I'm going to let it play until the end just to be sure. So if it's nothing, I'll see you at the end of it. Yeah, no, so the rest of the audio, is just me with my phone in my pocket, just kind of doing things to pretend I'm busy until he ends up leaving the house and I can end the audio. One thing to note about this is the argument had already been going on for like about half an hour to an hour at that point. And I only happened to get a break for like a little bit, so I could manage to probably go to the bathroom, then go get my phone, and then he probably called for me. So I started the recording and went up to the door, opened it, and then this started. Most arguments with him last at least an hour and a half, and sometimes they lasted for like up to 3 or 4 hours into the night and made me so tired I couldn't hardly do anything. And then even when it would end up getting to a point where it would seem like finally we reached common ground or an understanding or something, he would go right back in the beginning because I slipped up a little bit because I was fucking tired as hell and couldn't say anything correctly. Or I said something that sounded stupid. This was a constant as well. And it almost seemed like it was a particular strategy for him to wait as long as possible before getting mad at me for something so I would slip up because I'm tired. I don't know for certain, but it sure as hell seems like what he was trying to do. Like 99% of the time. I'm not going to assume that. In fact, I'm going to say that's allegedly what is happening. Because, that's the magic word. All of this is alleged, right? It's not proven in a court of law, therefore. Allegedly. But fucking Christ, man. Anyway. Now to the actual end segment of the video, which again I recorded before this segment for some reason. Yeah.
And that should be everything. At least everything I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you all have a great New Year. It'll be a bit hard for me too, but I have things to look forward to. I hope you all do too. Bye. That's enough for now. God, my throat hurts real bad. I've been talking for like an hour, several straight.